Hello, my name is Jitterz and welcome back to another episode of Mechanics Explained, a series of mine where I take an in-depth look at all of the abilities of the agents in Valorant. Today I'll be talking about KO, Valorant's brand new initiator. KO's signature ability is 0 Point. The ability is free and he starts with one charge at the beginning of each round. When you press E, KO will equip a knife. When left click is pressed, KO throws this knife in the direction he's facing and it explodes when it comes in contact with a solid surface. After using it, it goes on a 40-second cooldown, and after this cooldown ends, KO recovers a charge of the ability. The area of effect of this ability is indicated by a large sphere, and anyone hit by the ability becomes suppressed and can no longer use any of their abilities. Enemies hit will also have any of their abilities already placed down turned off, such as Killjoy's turret or Cypher's trips. 0 Point suppression effect lasts for a total of 8 seconds. KO suppression can affect some ultimates, but only certain ones. I'll quickly go through how all the ultimates in the game interact with the new suppression mechanic. Astra's wall is not affected.
My ult ready.
The wall also doesn't block the ultimate, so you can still be suppressed by it if KO is on the other side. Breach's ult cannot be stopped after left click is pressed and he begins channeling it.
My ult's ready.
But if he has Rolling Thunder equipped, it will be unequipped. Similarly, Brim's ult cannot be cancelled once it's activated.
Open up the sky. My ult's ready.
But if Brim is suppressed while his ult is equipped, he will unequip it. Cypher's ult also doesn't get cancelled.
Where is everyone hiding? My ultimate is ready.
Jett's ult does act a little differently. While suppressed, her knives are unequipped. But when the suppression ends, she can re-equip her knives again.
I can't use that.
KO's ultimate is not affected by suppression at all. Killjoy's ultimate doesn't get disabled once it's placed on the ground.
Initiated. My ultimate is ready.
But suppressing her will unequip her lockdown and keep her from using it. For Omen, if he's hit while channeling his teleport, he will still be suppressed where he ends up, but he can still cancel his ult.
My ultimate is ready. Can't use that.
If he's suppressed while he's holding his map, he will unequip it. And if you suppress his shadow at his new location, he will also get suppressed.
Watch them run. My ultimate is ready.
Phoenix's ult is not cancelled, and if he dies in his ult while suppressed, he'll still be suppressed when he returns to his body.
My ultimate's ready.
Raze's ult is very weird. If you get suppressed, you will put away your rocket launcher, but you don't permanently lose it.
Here comes the party.
You can see this with the ult, which only suppresses you for 4 seconds. If you leave his range and the suppression effect ends, you can re-equip her rocket launcher as long as the timer hasn't ended.
Okay, take a break, guys.
Reyna's ult is only sort of affected when she's suppressed. She still has all of the same buffs she normally has.
They will cover.
She also heals after every kill, but she can't use any of the orbs to invis.
Can't use.
Sage and Skye ults don't have anything noteworthy to talk about. Sova's ult is completely cancelled if he's suppressed while channeling it. However, if he's in the middle of shooting a shot, he will get to finish that shot before putting his bow away. Viper's ult also has no interesting interactions. And finally, Yoru's ultimate is completely immune to the ability, so you can't stop him from TPing out by suppressing him.
I'll handle this. I'm back.
The knife can be destroyed by an enemy if they shoot it. It is not affected by enemy abilities though.
Volley.
This even includes something like a brim ult.
Open up the sky. My ult's ready.
Also, any enemies hit by the ability will also appear on KO's and the rest of his team's UI to let you know who you have suppressed.
Shutting them down. Enemy suppressed.
This ability can affect enemies that are on the other side of walls as long as they are within range. You cannot suppress your teammates with this ability.
Shutting them down.
You have to hit an agent to turn off their abilities, so hitting the abilities themselves won't have any effect on them. To get an idea of the arc and speed that you throw 0 point, it is slightly faster and goes slightly further than a Yoru flash.
Knife deployed.
The ability will activate when it hits either a wall,
Knife deployed.
the ground,
Shutting them down.
or an agent, and will not bounce.
Enemy suppressed.
KO's second ability is Flash Drive and is his flash ability. This ability is binded to Q by default, and KO can hold up to 2 charges per round, with each charge costing 250 credits. KO's flash is very comparable to a Breach or Sky Flash in terms of length. If you're looking at it, you'll get flashed for 2.1 seconds. If the flash goes off behind you, you'll only get flashed for a couple of frames. And if the flash is just in the corner of your screen, you'll be flashed for 0.8 seconds. When you press Q, KO equips a flash drive, and then you can throw it by either pressing right click or left click. When left click is pressed, KO throws the flash a fixed distance, and after about 2.3 seconds, it'll detonate. You can also bounce the flash off of walls or the ground. The amount of time it takes to detonate is not affected when you do this. When you press right click, KO will gently toss his flashbang in front of him in an arc.
Flashbang.
When tossed this way, the flashbang detonates after only about 1 second. After throwing a flashbang, there's a 1.3 second delay before KO is able to shoot. This delay is slightly faster than the delay from Breach's flash. KO's third ability is Fragment, binded to C by default. This ability costs 200 credits per charge, and KO can only carry 1 charge per round. This ability is KO's Molly. You equip the Molly by pressing the C key, and can then throw it by pressing left click.
Fragment. Survivor's rest. I'll clean up.
The arc and speed of this Molly is very comparable to a Killjoy Molly.
Throwing charge.
KO's Molly is different than every other Molly in the game because instead of doing consistent damage, it damages players in pulses. Each of these pulses is about 2/3 of a second apart. Players standing in the Molly take about 50 damage per pulse, meaning that the time to kill a full health player with full shields is 2 seconds. This damage is dependent on how far the player is from the center of the Molly. Enemies closer to the edge of the Molly will only take about 33 damage per pulse, while enemies directly in the center of the Molly take 60 damage per pulse. This ability also does damage to teammates, but is reduced to only about 20 damage per pulse. The Molly pulses 4 times before despawning, which means that it won't do enough damage to kill a teammate from full health. The Molly's radius is slightly larger than a Killjoy Molly.
Throwing charge.
Fragment detonates as soon as it hits the ground.
Grenade out.
You can, however, bounce it off of walls multiple times, and it will only detonate once it lands on a flat surface parallel to the ground. This includes many of the boxes and other pieces of geometry on the map.
Grenade out.
The molly also won't detonate on slanted surfaces.
Throwing charge.
Finally, we get to KO's ultimate, Null command. His ult requires 7 ultimate points to charge up. When X is pressed, KO will become overloaded, and this lasts for a total of 12 seconds.
Walks away.
While overloaded, KO emits a wave in the shape of a sphere that suppresses enemies very similarly to his signature ability. The pulses occur about 3 seconds apart, and enemies are only affected when they're hit by a pulse. This means if they enter within KO's range between pulses, they won't actually be suppressed until the next pulse. Enemies hit by one of these pulses will be suppressed for 4 seconds, and this timer will reset if they're hit by another pulse. Enemies that are suppressed cannot use any of their abilities, and any abilities they have placed down are also disabled temporarily. Just like his signature ability, the suppression will also affect certain ultimates.
My ult's ready.
Powerless.
KO's ult also hits enemies regardless of if they're within his line of sight.
You are powerless.
Enemies can, however, see the pulse and can use this information to get a good idea of the enemy KO's position. When KO dies while in his ultimate, he isn't out of the round. His body stays on the map and he can be resurrected by a teammate by having them stand on top of you and pressing F. It takes a teammate 3 seconds to pick a down KO back up.
We're put back online.
KO stays alive for 15 seconds after being down, and after that time is up, he will die whether or not an enemy finishes him off. While down, KO is not invincible but has 850 HP, and enemies can kill you while you're down.
Requesting manual reset.
Last player standing.
While KO is downed, he does not have a head hitbox, so if you try to kill him, you'll have to deal the full 850 damage using only body shots.
Shield. Critical damage.
So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it or learned something new, and if you did, please leave a like and leave a comment letting me know if you like the new agent. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more Valorant related content.